Good afternoon and welcome to the pre-match press conference of Team USA. Before the first semi-final, England against the USA. The match will take place on Tuesday at 9 p.m. here in Lyon. A warm welcome to the head coach, Jill Ellis, and to the captain, Alex Morgan. Hello. But as you know, before we start, I want to request you to switch off your mobiles or set it in silent mode. If you need interpretation, so please be sure that you have downloaded the FIFA interpretation app. Today we offer English, of course, and French. When you have a question, so please raise your hand, wait for the microphone, tell us your language you will ask, introduce yourself, your name and organization, and finally your question. But please, only one question. I want to request the photographers to leave the press conference after 5 minutes. Thank you very much. So we can open the floor for the first question. The first question in the first row, please. The microphone.
In English, Steve Goff, The Washington Post. Jill, Lucy Bronze is a unique player for England and for women's football in general. What are the qualities that you see, the unique qualities that you see from her and the problems she creates for oppositions?
Yeah, I mean, she's one of a lot of good players on that team. But, you know, she's a very dynamic player, loves to get forward, obviously good pace and timing, and, you know, she's just a very attacking-minded player. So, you know, yeah, she's going to come forward, and much like I think a lot of the French players like to get forward, it's going to be another dealing with a very attacking team. So, you know, just a strong player, good player technically, physically, you know, and obviously a very experienced player.
Next one there, please.
Hi, question English. Rob Harris from Associated Press. Question to Jill. Could you explain why you sent your staff down to the England team hotel today to check out it, because you could use it for the final potentially if you reach the final? And is that a sign, given you've already had Ali Krieger saying you've got the first and second best team in the world, is that just a sign that there's quite a lot of arrogance or overconfidence in your team that you're assuming you'll make the final?
Well, I would assume everybody's doing that. You have to plan ahead. The only two people that think of planning ahead on my team is my administrator, because she has to book all the flights and everything and do all that stuff, and her boss. And everybody else, yeah, we don't worry about that. So that's probably who the two people were. I think that's important to do your job, you know. So in terms of arrogance, I think that's got nothing to do with us. That's planning and preparation for our staff. So I think that's pretty normal. I mean, I had no idea where we were headed and where we were going. Didn't even know how we were going to get here yesterday. So, you know, they think of that so we don't have to. But in terms of, yeah, I mean, I think in terms of Ali's comment, you know, Ali's played in a lot of different teams, was back on the 2015 team. So I think it's, again, I think I said this before when I was asked the same question, it's really a comment about ourselves. It's really a comment, I think, about how she feels, because she's played on two different teams, and she has the right to say that if that's how she feels. So I think it's, you know, I think it's important that our team has confidence. I don't think in any way this is an arrogant team. I think this team knows that they've got to earn everything, that we've got tough opponents, as we played the other night, still ahead of us, and we have to earn every right to advance in this tournament.
Hola, bueno, yo hablo español. Trataré de leerlo en inglés para Alex. Congratulations for that classification. Hi, I'm Emma. I'm 20 years. I'm from Honduras, Centroamérica. Creo que soy la única de allá. Over there, women football is stagnant and also abandoned a lot of machismo. You are the grand example for them. I can hear a representation so that you can see it and hear that everything is possible. What a message you send to this girl within that maybe that cannot do it?
Well, I think when you get to a World Cup and you find that you're playing on the highest stage and that it's streamed globally, this is the best platform we can give to inspire that next generation who want to play. And there are a lot of women and girls that don't have as much opportunity that maybe I did growing up and do now. But I think just to continue to fight for yourself and fight for the next generation is important, because I find that a lot of times when I stand up for this team or, you know, with equality within the sport, you find that you're not necessarily going to reap all the benefits, but your hope is that that next generation will.
Stop, please. I want to request the photographers to leave the press conference now. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, please. So for the next time, please take place on the first row so it's easier. Yeah. Thank you very much. So the next question, please.
Hi, this is a question for Jill in English, Jane Dougal, BBC. Jill, just before the She Believes Cup in 2018, Phil Neville had just been appointed. There was a bit of scepticism at the time. I think I remember asking you a couple of questions about it at the time.
Right.
Since then, how do you feel he has managed the England squad, and have you been surprised?
No, I don't. Surprised, no. I mean, I think if you have pedigree in this game, and you know, I think that obviously, and that's where he came from in terms of, you know, I think a lot of us are product of our environments, and obviously he had a pretty good mentor there for a while. So yeah, I mean, no, I'm not surprised. And in terms of managing the team, you know, I definitely think the team's made strides. You can see they're bought in. You can see that they're, you know, playing hard and bought into what he wants them to do. So I think he's done a really good job. Really good job.
Next question here, please.
Oui, bonjour, Adrien de Calan, Agence France Presse en français. Ma question est pour Alex Morgan,
My
savoir
question is
qu'est-ce que
for
ça
Alex.
représente de revenir à Lyon.
I want to know what this means to you
Qu'est-ce que
coming to Lyon.
représente pour vous
What
dans votre
does
carrière ce
it
passage
mean
assez
for you
bref?
in your career?
Sorry, the interpretation failed.
Ah,
Can
ok.
you repeat, please?
I don't think they're turned on or something. I don't know. Do you want this one out?
C'est bon?
It's connecting now.
Je peux la poser en anglais si vous voulez. Non, c'est bon. Ouais, donc c'est une question pour Alex Morgan.
So my question is for Alex.
Savoir ce que représente Lyon,
Question
tout
for Alex.
simplement,
I want to
par
know what
rapport
it
à votre
means for
passage
you
ici.
coming here to
Est-ce
Lyon.
que c'est des bons souvenirs? Qu'est-ce que vous
Do
apportez
you
ce
have good
club?
memories from Lyon? What do you get from your experience here in Lyon?
Just coming to the city made me so happy yesterday, and being at the stadium for the first time in 2 years brings back such great memories. So I'm really excited to see a full stadium for the game, and it's just, you know, it's great to be back here. Obviously, this club is world class in terms of the facilities, the stadium. This city is beautiful, and one that I spent a lot of time in alone by myself because I didn't have my husband and was new to the team. So being able to explore this morning was I think a good emotional break from soccer for an hour, and just helped me remember, you know, some of the important times of how I, you know, progressed my game and was able to evolve as a player.
Doug McIntyre, Yahoo Sports. Question is in English for Alex. Alex, you're tied for the scoring lead in this tournament. Obviously, the first goal for you guys is to win the title. But how much would you like to win the Golden Boot? Because obviously, when your striker's scoring goals, that gives your team a better chance of winning.
I'd first like to say that I would love someone on our team to win the Golden Boot. Of course, it'd be a great accolade, but that's not my goal. My goal is to help this team win a World Cup. So as long as the goals continue to come, then I'm happy. And that's not goals continuing to come from me, but that's this team. And right now, Megan Rapinoe has put the team on her back from Spain to France, and it's going to take, you know, players like that and, you know, a couple individuals each game to step up and really help carry this team. And Pino has done that in great fashion in the last 2 games.
Right beside the man in the white T-shirt.
Hi, Jill. Question from Luke Edwards, Daily Telegraph. When I mentioned at the semi-final that you were playing your home nation, England, you seemed to bristle a little bit. Can you just talk a little bit about the moves from...
Say that first part again.
When I asked you a question
About
at the
homeland.
about the quarterfinal, I said, yeah, your home
Yeah.
nation. You bristled a little bit, which was fine. But
No, I just want to make sure people know. I'm very appreciative of my homeland.
I wanted to talk a little bit about that, what that move to the States gave you in terms of a football education and the career you've had. And do you see yourself in any way English anymore, or is it completely American?
We should see me this,
100% American.
except in the supermarket on the candy aisle. Then it's all hell breaks loose. Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing with boys in the schoolyard, me and my brother in the backyard. So I had zero opportunity to play football over here. So that's really what America gave me as an environment to put on my first ever team uniform in terms of soccer. And I always loved the sport, and now it just kind of gave me a vehicle to kind of really experience it even more. I never thought I'd end up coaching in it. Wasn't the plan. And then, just I think the passion and what you find out you love, if you can love what you do, that's kind of what I decided to do in terms of shifting careers. But yeah, I mean, England is, I've got a lot of fond memories. I think it's, I was a Pompey lass. I can't say I honestly supported Pompey all the time. I've been a Man United fan since I was 7. But yeah, I mean, a lot of fond memories, a lot of great people. Spent many summers up in Edinburgh. So, my whole British culture and growing up, still I think is with me for sure. And I'm very grateful for that, because I don't think had I grown up in another country, maybe the passion for football would be where it is and where it was. So for sure.
Okay, in the middle.
Questions in English, Seth for TellMeGoal.com. This is for Alex. We've had the chance to see kind of different elements of your game through this World Cup. Obviously, the first game was a lot about goal scoring. The last couple games, maybe more about hold-up play and facilitating. Just wondering how you view your tournament so far on an individual level.
I think that in general, our team has been able to adapt to what the game has given us, and that includes myself. And I've been given different roles within the team defensively and on the attacking side. And all I would like to do is be able to execute that, and I think that I have. So, so far, you can't say anything other than, I'm happy to be right here because we're in a semifinal game, and at the end of the day, if we're not doing our jobs, then I don't think we're here. So I think that we've all executed quite well.
Bonjour, une question en français pour la coach. Léo Schmidt de la Nouvelle République.
My question is for the coach. It's kind of the same question that my...
Repeat, please.
The question is for the
Bonjour, une question en
coach.
français, c'est pour vous, la coach. C'est un peu la même question que
The
la
question
précédente, mais
is
j'aimerais
on
avoir
the
votre avis à
same
vous en
sort
tant
of
que coach
wavelength
sur
as
la
my
performance de
other
votre
colleague.
joueuse depuis le début de
I
la
want
compétition
to
et qu'est-ce qu'elle peut
know how you
peut-être
feel about the
améliorer là pour
performance of your
essayer
players and how your players can
au match
improve
de la
for the
demi-finale et
upcoming
peut-être la
game,
finale.
the semi-final, and then for the final as well.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was, that was an extraordinary game, in terms of just, I don't think I've ever been in a stadium quite like it. So I think it's, as much as you had to play, 11 players in the other jersey, I think the support that the French team had was unbelievable. And that certainly, that's a lot when you're playing almost against, 11 players plus a 12th man. So, but I wouldn't trade it for the world because I thought it was an unbelievable game, unbelievable atmosphere. So yeah, I mean, I think for us it was, we had to manage the game in terms of what we needed to do. I think both teams created some chances. I think, we managed to tuck ours away. People get hung up on possession, but at the end of the day, it's about putting the ball in the back of the net. And I think where we were at that point, it was, we knew we had to play literally, I say the 12th man. And so I think we had to navigate that. And I thought the players did extremely well. I thought it was a gritty performance. I thought they dug in. I thought the game plan was good. And, we were fortunate to come out, obviously, victorious.
The lady in black.
Hi, Jessica Crichton, Sky Sports News. Question in English for both Alex and Jill. Because the USA team has been so dominant for so many years, still at the top of the world rankings, and it's incredible unbeaten record that you have stretching back to 2011. Do you feel now at this World Cup in particular that perhaps that gap might slightly be closing, and now that teams are perhaps catching up with the USA, so you have more to fear when you play a team at the World Cup?
I mean, I get asked this question a lot over in the States, so I'll grab it real quick. I mean, I think, there's no grand illusions that there's not a gap. I mean, we know that there's phenomenal teams. I think actually if you go back and you look at every major world championship, Olympic Games final, World Cup finals, the margin in those games is usually one goal. And people kind of tend to forget that in those massive championships, it's always been really competitive in those tight games. But certainly with the investment and the investment in the domestic clubs, I think that's given a massive boost to a lot of the European teams. I mean, the domestic leagues, I think, Spain's benefiting from that. And that's really, that creates a pipeline. And then from there, you obviously get, players, climb up the ladder, so to speak, to the senior team. So I think that's a really good program that they have in place. I mean, I think for us, we know obviously that there's a great history with our program, but I think, we are a team that knows that we have to earn every second and every result, and there's a lot of good teams. There were a lot of good teams in 2015. I think there's more good teams now. And so that's really speaks about where the game is headed and where we're at. And you've got, the Netherlands in a semi-final. I mean, you've got debutante teams. I mean, it's just such an awesome reflection of the growth of our game. So I think as ambassadors for the game, the players and myself, I think that's exactly where you want it to be in terms of, you want it to be a game that you have to play as many good teams as possible to win. So I don't know how Alex feels, but yeah, I think it's for a long time we've known that there's small margins in big games, and that actually has been since a long, long time ago, 91, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I could have said it any better. I mean, she said it all.
Thanks. She wants to play.
Hi, question for Jill from Ian Herbert from the Daily Mail. Question in English, if I could.
And now that I used to read a lot, to tell you that right now.
That's an encouraging start.
The Telegraph was a bit expensive for me, but the Mail I could afford.
Still great value, Jill, if you want to try it any time. You just alluded, Jill, just before to Phil Neville's mentor, obviously Sir Alex Ferguson's prime amongst those.
Yeah, all I got, I've had a picture with him. That's it. You know what I'm saying? I've had a picture with him. That was my
Well, I
my
just wanted to ask
exposure.
you really what you thought Sir Alex brought in terms of coaching and managerial brilliance, and whether there's, although it's very early days, whether there's a little bit of Phil in him. He's a great orator and a great motivator. Whether you think there's a little bit of a comparison there that could be made even at these very early stages.
I mean, I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't seen Phil on the inside, so I can't speak to what he's like in front of his team, and obviously that. My interactions with him have been purely professional. He conducts himself in a great way, and I enjoyed our sideline conversations. At She Believes, and seems like a real genuine person. As it relates to Sir Alex, yeah. I mean, obviously I grew up as a Man United fan, so I can't speak enough about, just how he was as a manager. Got the best out of his players and was ruthless at times. And, so in that regard, I think, having probably been around Sir Alex on an internal level that Phil was, I'm sure that there's, everybody affects us, everybody influences us, and you take a little bit of that away, and some things you like and some things you don't. But in our lives, we're all affected by the people we come in contact with, so I'm sure that's had the same effect.
Question for Jill in English. Tom Amundsen from ESPN. Phil Neville said all along that their style of play, the England style of play, is non-negotiable, and they've continued to play in exactly the same way from game to game. Are you expecting that again on Tuesday, or are you expecting them to mix things up a little bit? And also on that, Lucy Bronze, do you reckon you might see her in midfield like you did before?
Well, I guess if it's non-negotiable, I would say we probably will expect the same thing, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think they stick to what they do and do it well. So, why would they change? In terms of what was the question about Lucy in the midfield? No, I would imagine she will be at right back. I think the tandem of her and Paris wide, it's one of their best attacking weapons, and I would imagine that would be where she would be in her position for sure.
Question in English for Alex and also for Jill. Helene Elliott from the LA Times. Alex, it seems like every game you're ending up on the field and writhing from some kick or some injury. Or do you feel this is more physical than more physicality against you than you can remember? And also, Jill, how is she handling it, if that is indeed the case?
I think that each team, does tactics differently, and so I think each game has presented itself in a different way. And for me, it's just being able to see who they're trying to target in a specific game. But naturally, as a number 9, I'm going to be plowed through quite often, and I understand that comes along with the job that, and it happens many times, you know, in the NWSL or even with friendlies. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily more physical in general of this World Cup. I would just say that, you know, it comes with the territory.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you know, different teams approach the game differently. You know, I think the kudos to Alex is I think she has a balance in her game in terms of penetration and being able to, like she did in the France game, be more of a player that could hold the ball up for us. And that's tough. Sometimes you get one of one and one of the other. And I think so Alex has worked on that and has that balance. And, you know, it's just a dangerous threat, I think. But yeah, in terms of durability, I mean, you know, she's played a lot of minutes and she's here and she's ready to go. So I think, you know, we got a tremendous, you know, medical staff. I'll give them props, you know, in terms of all of our players, making sure they're available for participation. But, you know, I think there's a single-mindedness right now in Alex. And I see that in her play. I see that off the field as well.
Sean Ingle, Guardian, question in English. Jill, could you talk a little bit more about your... Sorry about that. Can you tell me a little bit more about your meeting with Sir Alex Ferguson? And also, did you learn anything from him? Or if not, who had been your other mentors as a manager?
Yeah, it was at the, I don't know what they call it anymore. I think it was at the Ballon d'Or Awards or the FIFA 11 Awards. You know, my daughter and I kind of bumped into him in the hallway and, you know, super gracious, you know, charming, nice. So, yeah, that was a brief interaction, but, you know, I've kind of read his books, and obviously being a young Man United fan way back in the day, I was all in. So, yeah, I mean, I think for me, I've had a lot of different influences in my life. You know, my father's a coach. He was my earliest influence in terms of just an approach and a mindset to the game. You know, April Heinrichs, one of our former coaches, was one of my early mentors. So I've been blessed with that. And I've also, you know, I've had the privilege when I worked at UCLA to have sit-down meetings with John Wooden and talk to him and pick his brain. And so, yeah, I think I'm just kind of a sum of all the parts. And I think, you know, that's, I think it's, you know, I'm authentic in who I am, but I definitely think, you know, you grow and you learn from watching and speaking to other people in terms of the experiences you've had. So it's been great.
So the second last and the last one.
Yeah, English, Michael Lewis, Newsday. This is for Alex and Jill. I've been doing some number crunching about teams that score first in this tournament and even in any World Cup. And I've come out, it's about 80% winning rate that teams do when they score first. Could you expound upon what that means as a coach for a team and as a player, scoring first, how vital that is?
I mean, I think as a player, when you're on the field, it doesn't matter when a goal comes. When it does, you get a boost of energy and you get that extra little motivation. So for us, luckily, it's came earlier in games, and then obviously when teams are under fire, like France was against us, now it's putting in an extra defensive effort. So I don't know about the statistics that you've shared, but I, you know, would say, of course, we would love to score early every game if possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take him any minute, any time. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, I think when you come out the gate and you want to, you know, feel good about that, I think it's obviously a boost. But I also know, and this is something I did learn from my dad, he said nothing better than stealing the game in the 89th minute. So, you know, I'll take the W over when the goal comes.
I'll take the early goal.
Yeah, okay.
Fans might take the late one.
Yeah, exactly.
So the last question to the lady in the second row.
This is in English. Nancy Armour, USA Today for Alex. What did coming to Lyon give you in terms of your game? And also you mentioned being here by yourself. What did it give you personally?
Yeah, I think I was able to really dive in, and football was my one and only here. I didn't have family here. I didn't have, you know, anyone to really lean on. I lived by myself. I came here, I trained, I eat, breathed, slept soccer. So it was a great experience for me. I also, because of FIFA dates, wasn't able to go into the national team camps, you know, on time with my other teammates. So it was getting that maximum amount of time here in Lyon and trying to minimize the amount of travel. We had a lot of games, a short period of time within the league, the French Cup and Champions League. So for me, I was able to maximize those 6 months. And I think that my evolution as a player grew a little bit here because I was able to focus on a different style of play and was also used in different ways, both as a 9 role and as a winger. So I was able to learn a bit from that. And then obviously playing with some of the best players in the world, the training environment was the best it could possibly be, aside from playing with the US.
So thank you very much, Jill Ellis and Alex Morgan. Good luck for the semi-final on Tuesday. And we want to introduce you to the familiarization. The team will arrive in a few minutes and we invite you.